Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Charlie Adam are here with me in the studio. Delighted to have your company as well. And thanks to so many people who are downloading the PLZ Soccer app and utilising the ability to actually just post a message in our submissions section. Once you go down the menu, submissions, lots of people just posting messages. So thank you very much for that. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content. Lots of football to chat about. And just with regards to the messages, Niall Kane, who's a regular viewer to us, Ruffy, says, I'm really impressed by Motherwell's start to the season. I know we aren't dominating games, but we are getting the results. Obviously, the disappointment was at the weekend. I always watch the replay of the YouTube show as I can't get it at the live time of 4 o'clock. Can you guys see Motherwell pushing for the top six? I know it's early days. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so at this precise moment. I know Hearts beat them in the end quite comfortably. I think they didn't go off to a good start with a penalty, gave Hearts a wee bit of a head up. But the second half, the couple of chances, Craig Gordon had a couple of good saves. So he'll go away for the game disappointing. But I don't think the way things are now, there'll be many people will go to Tynecastle and coming away with 3 points.
Yeah, I like the way Motherwell play, Charlie. They've got options from the middle to front.
Yeah, listen, they cause you problems and they're finding a way at the moment to win games. And, you know, I don't think there's much in 7 or 8 teams in the league. I think, you know, you've got your usual regulars, the Rangers, Celtic and Hibs. And listen, Hearts have started brilliant this year. So I think everybody else is probably in the same boat. Maybe just, you know, different players in different positions are better in each team. But they've certainly picked up a few results, and no, they're going in a good direction. Obviously, Hearts is a tough game, and you know it will be a blow to them, but they'll look to bounce back after the international break.
Yeah, there's a fair. Well, yesterday, in fact, and on Monday, we were talking about the situation at Aberdeen, where they're desperately trying to get themselves a bit of form. Do you think it's too early in the season for everybody to start, you know, this knee-jerk reaction? I mean, I know you are fairly relaxed, not so much relaxed, but looking at Dundee's predicament and saying, you know, it'll turn around, the manager's not panicking.
Yeah, no, I think Aberdeen's situation will be because of the investment they've made. And, you know, it was a big call from Dave McCormack to go with Stephen. I think it was the right decision to go with him. They're going to have to take time. They're going to have to take, you know, as long as possible as they can. It'll turn. Aberdeen played well against St Mirren. Obviously, apart from the red card, it spells, and Sunday they did okay. But, you know, we play them after the international break, so it's going to be a difficult game for us, but also a difficult game for them. So we'll see how it goes. But I think Aberdeen will turn around. Stephen's got a good squad there, and he'll turn it around. It just takes time.
Yeah. What about your own guys? What's the feeling in the dressing room at the moment?
Yeah, we just feel like we're creating enough. We just need, you know, to find that solution to score goals, probably to get us up the league. We're playing well enough in certain situations. We've lost 4 in the bounce, which is obviously not great, but we're not detached. There's only, you know, us, you know, Livingston's, Ross County are in, you know, quite close to each other, and then it's Aberdeen, I think, above them. So if we can get a win against Aberdeen, then it puts us closer to them. But we're confident in what we're doing. If we keep creating the chances, we've definitely got the firepower to win games. Yeah,
I think the key here, Ruffy, as Charlie mentioned there, is Dundee are not detached. If Dundee were to get a result against Aberdeen, no disrespect to your boys, but that would just, for me, crank the pressure on Stephen Glass and what they're doing up there at Aberdeen, because Dundee come into the league and the expectation is try and stay in the league, as Charlie said at the start of the season. Aberdeen, the expectations were maybe far above what the reality should have been.
Yeah, I don't think Stephen Glass will be kidding himself on. He needs a win, and he needs a win quickly. You know, you'd be hard to get your head around them losing the next 3 or 4 games without everybody start to screaming for the rooftops, you know. But the owner brought him in, you know, that's a saving grace for him. He thought he was the man for the job. But it's a win. I mean, I'm sure Charlie's sitting there. 8 games we've played now. I bet there's 4 of the games you thought you could have won.
Yeah, possibly.
No, maybe not the weekend there, but other games, it's sort of on a knife edge.
There's no much game. Yep, Celtic, we lost 6, and Saturday we were never at the races. And fair play to St Johnstone, they got up in and around us and caused us problems. But apart from every other game, we were in the games, you know. Rangers, we missed a penalty late on, but we created enough chances to get at least something at the game. So like you say, you know, half a day games, you probably expect to get at least something more from it, and the picture changes. But that's why we're in the Premier League. It's, you know, top division. Small margins make the difference in games, and at the moment, the small margins are not falling for us. But if you keep working hard and trusting what we're doing as a group and the manager's doing, it'll turn, because we've got good enough players to make it turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading out a few of your messages. Don't forget you can post them on the app, as well as reading out some of the messages coming in on our live feed on YouTube. We are on 4 o'clock every day, Monday to Friday, and lots of messages coming in. One from an expat, Alexander, who's in Melbourne. He says, "Hi guys, I follow football or soccer as it's known in Australia, and I'd like to find out how British players and coaches are getting on. I was saddened to hear about former Carlisle United player who was severely assaulted and injured in an attack in Perth, Australia. Danny Hodgson is in hospital in a life support machine. Could you wish his family and Danny all the very best?" Yeah, absolutely, because we always like to stay in touch with British footballers, what they're doing abroad. I know there's a few Scots who have gone down to Australia. We had John Baird, who played for Raith Rovers, on. He's loving life down there. A lot of people go down there, and St Mirren player we had on, God, what was his name, Ruffy? That is absolutely outrageous for me.
I take it Ziggy must have went there eventually.
Ziggy's
still there.
He's been all over the world.
Yeah.
The striker for St Mirren, you need to think about that. That's annoying me now.
How long ago?
Maybe 10 years ago he played in the division. He's enjoying himself in Australia.
Steve McGarry.
Thanks, Charlie. Charlie, honestly, that's why you're here, son.
Yeah.
Great memory.
No, I think Australia, listen, it's a big move. And, you know, it was something I had an opportunity to do just before I signed for Dundee. But it's a big commitment, and obviously, still speaking to Graham Dorrans, he made it, and he come back just for family reasons. Kenny Miller's obviously been out there. He's literally back in Scotland at the moment. And it's, a lot of people that go there don't want to come back, and it's a great way of living, but you know, it's good to see that like Scottish players going there and doing well, because that's what you want to do. But I've seen that situation with that lad there that got the assault and things like that. You know, there's a Thanksgiving page for him as well, so if people can donate to try and get him the best possible help, would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Were you really tempted by Australia? Yeah, I was.
It's a change for family reasons as well.
Probably the only reason I never went was because I couldn't take the family for 4 months. And that was part of the restriction because of getting into the country, you'd have to quarantine, and the family wouldn't be able to come out for another 4 months. And that was the end. That was probably about within that week the manager phoned me at Dundee, and it changed the whole complexion. Then the manager got sacked in the club I was going to go to. And and then Kenny obviously went in there, and Graham Dorrans went into the same club. So it was, I was going to go, and I was all up for it, but circumstances probably delayed that, and it never materialised.
Yeah, I like the fact that you kind of thought about your family, thought about the whole project, rather than going out there on your own for 4 months, because if Ruffy had that same option, he'd have charged on for 4 months.
He'd have paid his own flight.
he'd have had a long beard just sitting in a drunken stupor.
I went to Florida for a year and a bit, and my wife couldn't come over for 2 months, and I was heartbroken.
Yeah. By the way, at that point he was heartbroken. Can I tell you, there's a fabulous photograph of him sitting by a pool with George Best. Exactly. So that's what heartbroken looks like to Ruffy. Brilliant, Ruffy. Anyway, great. Nice for Alexander to keep us in touch with stories from all across the globe. We'll be hearing from our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi. Of course, Scotland, it's all about international football. We're talking about Israel as well. Lots of people saying, hey, Frank Green says, surely Tam hasn't been sacked from the programme for telling the truth. Oh, well, that's open to debate as well, because...
hanging in on there, isn't it? We just need Ruffy to go next, and I'm there, I'm in co-host.
What I was just about to say to you, because everybody's saying, has Tam been bombed? No, he's genuinely not well, Ruffy, but, I mean, from our point of view, I mean, we've obviously looked
at that tooth.
No,
still hanging on that too.
We've been sympathetic. He's got a problem with his spine and his opinion, but nevertheless, he's adamant it was never a red card. You were desperate for him to be into.
I think there might have been a wee boxing gloves tonight, but unfortunately for him, he's not here, and we'll just have to hammer him without him being in front. But I'm sure he's watching at home.
Yeah, and to be fair though, Charlie, no surprise, the appeal for the red card has been rejected.
It was a red card. It was erratic. It was, you know, the force and the speed that he went at. It was a red card, and it was, you know, the referee called it right. He was just lucky that he never caught Aribo.
Yeah.
But like I say, we keep saying about learning, and you know, he's still a young player, but you know, some point, listen, he's going to be a very good player, and I like him. Obviously, playing against him now, I realise what his strengths are, and yeah, he's got that. But it was a red card, and that's a simple thing. Yeah,
and it's big games like that where you need players like that to suddenly say, "I'm mature, I know how to handle it." Because Hibs were 1-0 up at the time.
It was a big moment in the game. You'd been through 30 minutes of, you know, 1-0 up. Rangers obviously were playing well, but no causing too many problems. And then that one decision changes the whole game. And you know, it's just a matter of time when Rangers get the goal, and they get the goals at the right time. And Morelos pops up and scores the winner. So Jack will be frustrated. You know, I know that he'll want to back his player, but he'll be frustrated on the inside to say that was a big chance for us, because we felt that everybody's would have been thinking that Rangers were a bit low in confidence and they weren't playing well. Tough defeat in midweek, and that was probably a good time to go to Ibrox. But I said before, you know, when the chips are done, that's when the big boys come out, and that's where you see the top players turn up, and Rangers dragged their way through a difficult period.
Yeah, listen, I think he's got good qualities, Ruffy. He just needs maybe an experienced word in his ear from maybe one of the old legends that's roaming about. Maybe a Pat Stanton just turn around and say to him, "Look, son, you know, this is it." I mean, Jack Ross will obviously have spoken to him, but there are some good former players roaming about Easter Road.
Yeah, but you've got to say to yourself, it's lessons learned. You know, he's in the game now, he's in the big time, he's on the fringes of getting into a Scotland squad, you know, and these kind of things would just hinder him a wee bit. So he's got to be sensible enough to know, right, I was wrong, you know, I've got to learn for that. And make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, here's a point that's just been posted, Charlie, and I think it's quite good to get a sense of you and you know, the role that you've taken on by signing for Dundee, because it's your hometown club. You supported them as a boy, and you always wanted to play for them. I mean, our junior says, Peter, if James McPake were to get the sack, would Charlie be interested in the job? I think it's the one element that you've emphasised, that you were there to play. I mean, listen, sometimes out of left field, people are forceful in that, but that's not at the forefront of your mind.
No, I'm there to play. I'm there to help the team on and off the pitch. We've got a good manager in the position that we're in. Yeah, at the moment the results are not there, but what I see and what I get, the hard work that's put in every day from the manager and the staff is, you know, things will turn, and it will turn. We just have to be positive, stick together, and the opportunities will come. But no, it's no something that I'd be interested in. I'm here to play and keep playing as long as I can, because you know, you never know. You're a long time retired, aren't you, Ruffy? And once it's gone, it's gone. It's very hard to come back. And you know, I think it's the more games I can play. I think I'm getting close to that 500 game as well, which is something I want to get to before I retire. So hopefully I can do that.
How many are you at the moment?
I'm not completely sure. I think it's about 450 or 460, something like that.
Yeah, so getting rid of this injury, you might get a good run at...
Hopefully I can get a run of it this season and have a bash again next season. And and we'll try and get 500 would be an incredible achievement. People out there might know more than me, but I think it is about 440 or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. How many games did you play, Ruffy, in your whole career?
Thistle 642.
Wow.
And
mad, isn't it?
Hibs 155.
And in Scotland?
53.
That is incredible. We're not even talking about under 23 games.
It's over 800 games, is it?
Sorry?
Is that over 800 games?
Oh,
yeah. Many for here?
1.
And Hamilton?
8 or 9.
Yeah.
They all count.
Celtic?
6.
That's good.
I think
surprised they're not in the Hall of Fame.
David Moyes is coming up to 1,000 games soon as well, isn't he?
Yeah, as a manager.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it seems like only yesterday games. When he was embarking on it. In fact, it seems only yesterday Moyes and we were down in Shrewsbury, and you know, from there to where he is now is incredible. Preston, it's great stuff. Man United was a bitter pill to swallow, but
Yeah.
then again, listen, subsequent managers haven't had a great time there with a poor chief executive, and of course, I don't think they've got a proper game plan now.
And they've spent billions.
Yeah, absolutely. If Davy had half the money that some of the managers have been given, I think Manchester United would be in a totally different place.
Peter had his favourite food when he went over to see Davy in Real Sociedad. He took him out for a meal.
Yeah,
what did you have?
San Sebastian. It was absolutely magnificent. So we are there, Kenny and Davy says to us, "Oh, come on into this restaurant." He said, it's brilliant, Peter, you'll love it, you know. And he says the little it's like a tapas scene, you know, you try different things, and he says, try this black squid in ink. right.
So, you didn't get that in your house.
Oh, so to be fair, I actually thought to myself, well, I don't know about you, I'm not a person who would think I'm going to try stuff out of left field. And I thought to myself, okay, he's here, I'll try. I have never tasted it. Was terrible. It was absolutely disgusting.
Rubber.
Yeah, and absolutely terrible. But the only thing is, because obviously I know Kenny and Davey for a long time, and he's da, and I said, I can't remember you in Glasgow and your dad opening the door and saying, hey, come in for your black squid and tatties. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted. I mean, it was crazy. But listen, we were treated like kings. We went out there and had a chat with Billy McKinlay and everything as well. It was great. And in fact, when you think about some of the clubs that Moyes has managed, apart from the nightmare of Man United, San Sebastian, they didn't like you signing players out with the region.
No, part of the rule is that you have to sign Basque players.
Yeah.
And he found it very difficult, I think, with that. But that's where you promote within, and they've had good results with it. You know, the players that they've produced over the years, and yeah, it's. But listen, he's on a good road now, and he's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely, and long may it continue as well. Listen, I've got to just on that on the Ryan Porteous before we move on to Marvin Bartley. Ryan Porteous, he'll miss Dundee United and Aberdeen.
It's a big blow for Hibs. You know, certainly they don't at that position. Probably be Darren McGregor would come in there. You know, they're not got a luxury of having a player of that quality, but he'll come in and do a good job. But yeah, he's a big player for them. You know, I don't see him every week, but the reports you get, he's getting better and better year on year. He's getting older, he's getting wiser, and then he does something like that at the weekend. So that's why I'm saying I'm hoping he realises it, and when he comes back, he'll be a better player for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we move on to a topic which is still not only rumbling on this week, but it's just it seems to be continually something that's at the forefront of football at the moment. I think it's tarnishing the image of the game. And again, I would emphasise that apart from the platform of football, which has had to suffer players suffering racist abuse, I think society as a whole has a big problem with racism. Our country has its own problems with sectarianism as well. But Marvin Bartley has been sharing the extent of the racist abuse he receives on social media. And he wants social media companies to do more to help eradicate the abuse. And to be fair, you know, Marvin should keep banging on about this constantly. Everybody should. But I don't know about you, Charlie, but I think the social media companies, their silence at times is deafening. Their actions at this moment tell me that they're not in the least bit interested in trying to tighten up insecurity.
No, I think I watched him this morning on TV, Marvin, and he's spot on what he said, and you know he's in the forefront of it. He wants to push it forward, which we all agree with. He stands in what he believes. It's disgusting the comments that are out there. And like you say, he's trying to report it to these big companies, and the replies that they get, listen, I've had one or two messages myself previously and that, and you report it and all you get back is it's not within the law of whatever we do on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and that's not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, but as long as we keep doing this, he does that, he keeps banging the drum, the players, the ones that have got big platforms keep talking about it, then they've got to do something about it. They were quick enough to come out and do it when they went quiet the other night on different platforms, and they were losing hundreds of millions and all that. So for racism, why can't they do that? So it's It's important that we just keep banging the drum and we keep talking about it and keep it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep catching them. Got
Sorry?
to catch them. Got to catch them. I saw a boy on Sky Sports today, the boy who, the English boy who did Rashford and them at the England one. He would get hauled up and threatened to put him in jail. You know, and you have to say that if people are going to get threatened to go to jail, lose their jobs, that's the way that you get to them. You don't just get to them beginning of a lecture and saying, don't do that again. You threaten them with jail and everything that goes with it.
There was a man not so long ago, he just went and got a 4-week prison sentence for one, didn't he?
Yeah.
For online abuse to a player as well. So if that's the level we have to go to, then absolutely it's important that we do that, and then it'll stop these people going behind a keyboard and typing what they want.
Yeah, I think desperately needs government legislation to force the companies into it, because it's the only way they will drag their heels and continually look for a PR exercise out of it.
But is it difficult for our government to get involved in that because these companies are such American based? You know,
well, you still have to operate within the parameters of the country that you are making money in.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, I still think if they actually got to a situation where they could get a committee together and say, okay, what can we do with these companies? You know, it would be a step in the right direction. I'd love to see the government sitting down and putting together a serious task force to try, and you're not going to eliminate it. There's always people who will try and work their way around it. Although I have to say, Ruffy, 10 years, we talk about the fact that we've been together 10 years on this programme. When we were on Scottish television, they used to get some people who sent letters through, and I kept one of them just on the basis to try and highlight to people the type of madness you get sent through to you. This one was of a sectarian nature. It wasn't very complimentary towards me, which is part of, you know, you get that sort of thing, but you know, not complimentary towards you as well. But it's one of those things where it's actually going and catching them. There was no name on it. There was no address, you know. But now we're in a situation where there's all these people behind their keyboards.
Even some of the stuff that we get, you see that comes up on the feed. It's like, you know, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, what have they got? Nothing else better to do than write what they write. It's We're here to enjoy it. We're here to talk about a good thing, which is football.
Yeah,
but
it also doesn't help that you know, Sparta Prague have denied any instances of racism towards Glenn Kamara in the stadium last weekend and claim UEFA's delegate report clears them of any wrongdoing. Well, you know, as I mentioned, I do think there's a get out for them. I do, and sadly, Glenn Kamara just has to, you know, wait and see if there is any penalties coming their way. But I have my doubts. I think they're going to slither out of this one on the basis
because they made the mistake.
Well, no, because basically I think for me the argument is that they're going to say, how can you prove that booing is racism?
No, but they made a mistake by allowing the rule was it was meant to be an empty stadium, so they weren't going to.
That's another matter.
They don't want to, you know, come to the back of that this was really our fault. We should never allow even kids into the stadium.
Yeah.
So it's like you say, it's Glenn Kamara just has to keep doing his football on top because he's a wonderful footballer, and you know, he'll want to keep doing that and focus on what the season ahead is for Rangers. But it is disappointing for him, himself, Marvin, the abuse that they get. It's, as a fellow player, it's not good enough. And
by the way, I have listened to people say, Ruffy, oh well, why don't they just come off social media? Why should you give in to people? There are very many positives about social media where players like to interact with genuine fans.
No, I think the biggest point is threatening to catch these people. I don't think people should be coming off it. You know, I think that we need somebody to make it a cause. Usually, when you go to Parliament, somebody stands up and makes something a cause that they're going to make sure they change the rules, or whatever, and that might be what we need. We need some high profile person to say, right, we're going to take these people, you know, all the way, and we're going to make it legislation. We're going to change the rules, and I think that's the only way you're going to change it. Yeah,
well, players who racially abuse an opponent face being banned from football for up to a year under strict new disciplinary measures, which are set to be introduced by the SFA. I think to be perfectly honest with you, I think it takes a special kind of moron to want to abuse a fellow player.
Yeah, it's an idiot really that would do that. You know, you respect your opponent, you respect what they do, but you know, you want to win, but you don't have to abuse people like that and the stuff that can come out the mouth. So no, it's a fair punishment if people do want to get involved in that.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Scotland versus Israel because international football will dominate our thoughts over the course of the next few days, getting ready for that big game on Saturday. 5 o'clock's the kickoff time for that match. 3 out of 4 I think we're looking at to try and get maximum points to make sure we're in the box seat for the playoff. I don't think anybody's going to catch Denmark. We'll talk about that with our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi shortly. Couple of little stories caught my eye. First of all, Hearts and Rangers. Now, obviously, they've now done away with the red zone. It was scrapped by the joint response group, so suddenly away fans can now get to grounds like Celtic Park and Ibrox, and Hearts will have 1,000 tickets for the match at Ibrox. So finally there will be Jambos there to cheer the team on for what will be a huge game, Ruffy.
Yeah, we've been thumping on about it for the last couple of months, you know, that it takes it away for the spectacle of a big occasion. And I'm sure that the Hearts supporters will bring something to that game, and I would like to think that both sets of players on the park would enjoy it as well. I mean, we've saw games when both sets of fans have been in the stadium, and it's brilliant. It just makes the excitement of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know about you, Charlie, you know, when I'm looking at the type of things I would like to see introduced into Scottish football, I think there needs to be radical changes coming up, you know, both from the people who are governing it to the people who are marketing it and selling it. And also I think there needs to be a change in the way we vote for particular things for the benefit of all, not necessarily all 42 clubs, because I think it's unsustainable. Trying to look at all 42. I think we need to look at changing the Premiership in some way, expanding it. I think I would love to see as well, but I don't know about you, but I think it needs. I think we need some changes.
Yeah, and these clubs that, you know, the 4 or 5 clubs that are in talks at the moment are trying to get a solution with Deloitte. It's a good thing. They're taking responsibility themselves and talking about it. So we'll see what comes up with it and what Deloitte's come at the end of it.
But linking into what Ruffy was saying, the main change that I would like to see is I think clubs have to have a minimum 10% of tickets available for the away support.
Yeah, and listen, we're going back to that now. Is it going to be 6,000 or 7,000 Rangers fans at Celtic Park or vice versa coming to Ibrox? They have to try and sort that out themselves. Obviously Celtic never got any tickets in the last Old Firm game.
Yeah.
I don't think Celtic will allow any tickets for the New Year game that's going to be coming up because of the tit for tat. And you know, maybe as the season progresses, in the last 2 Old Firms of the season, they might be able to get back to that. But we'll see where that goes. But you know, Hearts are going there with a bit of confidence, aren't they? Robbie said a few things that have, you know, stirred it up a little bit by saying he's got 18 players and 2 goalkeepers that are good enough to get into any Premier League club. So they're buoyant, they're in a good mood, and it's going to be a cracking game.
There's a wee wry smile on your face. I like a wee bit of arrogance from a manager, Ruffy. It always adds a bit of a noise up to the game.
Yeah, that's what we want, isn't it? That's why we're here. We like talking about these kind of things, and it's usually a headline in the morning of the game that stirs it up, but if it's happening away before it just shows you how keen they are to play the game.
Yeah. Stuart McLean says, Peter, are Charlie and Alan going to bring in their old swap shirts, part of a feature for Best 11? Remember we talked about that?
No, I will.
I think we're going to do a programme on that.
I'm going to go down south at the weekend, so I will go into storage and get my kits, and I'll bring them back up the road. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can have a Wednesday or a Friday, we can show some old classics.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout, actually. Let's. You happy with that, Ruffy?
Yeah, more than happy with that.
Yeah. Are you going to? Are you going to
I'm
bring?
I'm not taking mine out of the frames.
No, don't take it out of the frame. But bring them over. Will you be able to bring them over?
Oh, what straps?
Yeah.
No, my straps have gone.
Yeah, I know. Not all of them though. Will we take photographs of yours?
Yeah, so you can do
You take the photos and put them up there, and then you can tell us stories, because there's always a story by each game, isn't there? There's definitely a story with Ruffy. Mine's just not the same stories, but there'll be something in these stories that we'll remember.
You'll have some great shirts. You'll have some.
I've got shirts, no stories, but no like this man here.
One of my favourite ones quickly is we played East Germany over there, and
West Germany.
And after the game, you know, swapping the shirts. There we Frizzy or whoever it was came into our dressing room and said, shirt exchange. So we just put our shirts and the boy went away with them. He come back with t-shirts with holes in them. and he asked the guy, goes, I'm not having that. And he went away through, and he come back and he thought he had a really good one. And there was a big hole at the back. They nicked all our strips. All they gave us was t-shirts.
You never get any?
Never get in.
No, but to be fair, it was East Germany at the time. It was difficult enough. Couple of little transfer stories or contract stories as well. Greg Taylor, it looks as if Celtic will be opening talks on a possible 2 or 3 year extension with a wage rise for the boy. I don't think Greg Taylor's done anything wrong. If anything, I think because the club hasn't been firing in all cylinders, I think there's a scattergun approach to everybody, isn't it?
It's an easy target, isn't it? Come from Kilmarnock, he's been there 2 years now. They lost 10 in a row last season, you know, and it's an easy, like you say, it's an easy scattergun option to fire at Greg Taylor. He's a good enough player to play for Celtic, and he's done well to get a new contract. And if he gets that, then fair play to him. But it's important that Celtic look after people that have done, you know, they look to see the future. You know, sign Callum up, Greg Taylor, and other players will get rewarded, and yeah, that'll be good for the lad.
Yeah, so there was one story that came out this morning, Ruffy, that I did actually have a smile about. Patryk Klimala said he was, I'll use the words, hacked off with Neil Lennon, who picked Ryan Christie to play as a striker over him in the Champions League qualifying defeat to Ferencváros. Patryk Klimala just wasn't a Celtic player.
No, I think when you're at a big club, our big clubs are Rangers and Celtic. Sometimes you buy players and they just don't come up to scratch, and you've just got to say, right, it didn't work. We tried it, and I know a lot hinges on how much you're paid for these people, you know. But when you're bringing that many people into the club, you're going to have some bad ones. You just have to live with it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he was quickly jettisoned and sold off to the MLS, which is an indication of what Celtic thought of him eventually, although it's fair for him to have his point of view on it. The other little story I got was Southampton reportedly already interested in Kyogo Furuhashi on his current deal. They'll have to come up with a fair few quid to try and extract him from Celtic.
Yeah, he back to business again on Sunday at Aberdeen, wasn't he? Causing all sorts of problems, getting the goal, and he's something that Celtic missed in that period. He was injured, and you'll be looking, or I think he'll be praying every night he's not getting a text that, you know, when he comes back from that international break, that he's picked up anything, because he sets the tone for Celtic when he plays, and he's been an excellent signing so far. Just can he now go and get a run of games and playing regular, because if he does that, then Celtic will be pushing up that league soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Gabriel Antoniazzi, not too far away. Scotland, Israel, we're getting ready for it, Ruffy. The camp, they've all got together. The manager will be assessing things. Does he follow the same route as Sir Alex Ferguson? You play your best players, you play your best team. Is there any kind of, apart from injuries, is it all about just, here's the 11, we know near enough 10 out of the 11, get on that park and get us the results we need?
Yeah, I think he's had the players long enough to know what his best team is and what his best formation is. We know when we go away from home, we can be dogged and we can sit in there, and if we get a wee rub of the green, we might take something out of the game. I would like to see him coming up with a plan of playing at home and playing a more attacking style of football, because I think we've definitely got players in there that can cause people problems. I personally would like to go 3 at the back. I definitely would love to see 2 strikers playing. I think we've got a better chance of scoring goals with 2 strikers, and I think we've got players in there. You know, obviously we've played Israel, I think it's 7 or 8 times, and we've only beaten them once, but there hasn't been much between the 2 sides. But I think we've improved since the last time we played them with some of the results that we've had. So I'm expecting a win. I'd love it to be a comfortable one, no 1-0 and hiding behind the couch for 89 minutes. So we can't get them in We can't give them a hint of anything. If they were to win that game, they jump above us, and that's not what we want.
Yeah, I agree with Ruffy on that key point there, which is I think we have improved. I think we do go into this with a not overconfidence, but a confidence that we could actually, at home, take Israel. You know, it's been nervy before with them and tight, but I think we are slowly but surely, you can start to see what he's trying to do.
I think that Austria game gave us a marker again that we are a good side, and we're not huffing and puffing. Yeah, Moldova, we scored the goal and just never got the second goal. That could happen, but this team now, I think, are in a good place of mind, looking forward to each game. We'll play 3-5-2 because we look a better team with two boys up front. Dykes and Adams will play together, and majority of the rest of the team will pick itself. But I'd fancy at home, like you say, we're getting better, we are progressing, and the confidence from that Austria game, everybody was desperate to get into camp, and we look forward to it. But they're a stuffy side, Israel, but we have enough quality to win it.
And we're starting to get that point where I think, as Ruffy mentioned there, there's 7 or 8 that are absolute stonewall starters. When you think about it, I mean, from a goalkeeping perspective,
it's nobody challenging him, is there?
No,
Craig Gordon's the main man.
We're set.
Yeah.
I look at the middle three and I think we're set. You look at the
So you're going to have Gilmore, McGregor will play together,
and
McGinn is the 3.
I think
wing back Patterson will play. Robertson will play in the thingy. So McTominay will play in the right side of the centre back area with Tierney, and it's who plays in the middle. Is Hanley not suspended?
Well, I think he might be suspended. You're right.
So it's either does Cooper come in and play there, or does McKenna play in there? It's one of them. But like you say, we've got a settled side. There's probably, if you look at now, we've got one position really that needs picked, and that's probably that central one.
Yeah. Ruffy, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. And I wouldn't like to think that it's going to be a backs to the wall at home. I would like to think we're going to be in the front foot most of the time, and we have got players on the front foot. I've been watching John McGinn, has been fantastic down in England, and the big players that he's playing. I'd like to see him really stamping his authority on the game. And we keep talking about Billy Gilmour, and this is an opportunity for Billy Gilmour to show everybody that he is a quality midfielder. So we've got players in there who are going to cause them problems. So 3 at the back for me, what would they play? We 1 up front and just trying to break for midfield. So it's all about us. It's all about us right for the start and showing them they're in a game, and they're going to be backs to the wall for most of the game, no us.
Yeah, who takes Adams' place then, because he's suspended as well?
Sorry,
Adams, is he?
Shea Adams is suspended.
Yeah.
It's tough to be a midfielder playing off him.
Christie in there?
Well, that was my thought process.
And maybe put like a 2 and a 2. Christie and McGinn as a box.
Or does he go Nisbet?
I thought Nisbet was a bit not lost, but that Moldova.
A good goal at Ibrox.
Yeah, but that Moldova game, I just wasn't sure about it. Let's say,
should we try him at the start? Should we try him and just give him 30 minutes, 35, and see if he causes people problems?
Yeah, but then you've got Armstrong coming back into the squad as well, because he could play in one of the front 2 positions as well.
I like an out and out. I like the idea of 2 out and out strikers who that's their position.
Yeah.
Go and get the goals.
Yeah, but listen, for us, Nisbet's the next big one in Scotland as a Scottish striker. So if Steve trusts him, then he's got to play him. So yeah, it's one of them. You might go.
Most of our strengths are like Robertson on one side and whoever it is on the other side, and it seems to be getting to the dangerous area and firing balls across.
He's a goal scorer,
and if you've just got one striker in there, you're like, if he misses it, that's it. But if you've got 2 in there and one misses it, the next one might be making a good run, I think you've got a better chance.
What about Jack Henry?
Well, he's kept the golden 3 out, isn't he? Messi, Mbappe and Neymar, him for Bruges, done really well. He could probably come in and play in that middle one.
Yeah, absolutely. Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi has been in the Scotland camp today at the Oriam.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon from sunny Edinburgh. Scotland have just taken part in their first training session here at Oriam ahead of their upcoming crucial World Cup qualifiers against Israel and the Faroe Islands. Now, it's the first time the squad have met since their fantastic 1-0 win against Austria, which put them in 2nd place in the group. Of course, the playoff berth. I just spoke to assistant manager John Carver. He said they're in the box seat. The destiny is in their own hands. And that win in Vienna has given them massive confidence going into these next fixtures.
We're going into this game on the back of having a huge amount of confidence because when you go to Austria and get the result and the performance that we got, then it gives you confidence. And you try not to worry about the outside things that are going on with that word pressure. It's how we deal with it and how we set ourselves up to overcome that.
The good news for Scotland is there are no fresh injury concerns, no COVID worries yet. Also, the news that everyone in the Scotland playing staff and coaching staff has received at least one dose of the vaccine, just 5 people waiting for their second dose. Stuart Armstrong has been included despite the fact that he's played no minutes for Southampton so far this season. His selection was a bit of a surprise to him.
Yeah, really grateful as well to be involved, and I think, yeah, of course, you would always want to come into these squads with match fitness and sharpness, and obviously I'm still building my way back to fitness, but feeling good physically, and yeah, ready to help the team when asked.
So Scotland's fate is in their own hands, but it's pivotal that they do win against Israel at Hampden Park on Saturday to keep it that way if they want to make it to Qatar 2022.
Yeah, thanks to Gabriel. Only 5 players waiting for their second vaccination, Ruffy. Nobody with COVID in the camp, so that's great news. There's been a fair bit of consternation around players getting their vaccination, especially down south.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because I know us at Partick Thistle, we actually brought somebody in, to make sure all the players had their vaccinations. I don't know the ins and outs of how that worked. Jerry Britton took charge of all that. So I think it's in the club's best interest. It takes a wee bit of pressure off you if you know everybody has had the Jags. But I mean, people have had the Jags are getting it. So
Jags at the Jags.
The Jags at the Jags. Good one, aye.
Brilliant. Yeah, you should go after dinner, Ruffy. All right, too bitter enough.
But no, it must be a horrible time that you still got to have the players are still getting stripped in different areas of the park, and they're not in the dressing rooms, and it must be really hard if you're a player.
Well, we're having it now. Not until now. Obviously, red zones have gone now, haven't they?
Yeah.
And on a match day, we were having players in the away dressing room, players in the home dressing room. There was no. There is togetherness, but not the same as the thingy. So now we're all in there, and I think Aberdeen game when we come back, the Aberdeen will take the away dressing room, and everybody now will be back in the home dressing room. It's listen. The big thing is people have their own, do's and don'ts. If they want to have it and they don't want to have it, they've obviously got reasons for it.
Yeah.
I think the more people we have vaccinated, the better, and we'll go from there. But I've seen the FA in England are rewarding clubs by financially rewarding them if they get as many, to see who gets the most important. So it just shows that what it's going to do to the football and bring people forward and things like that. So it's listen, each to their own. But I'm all for it to try and keep the game going and causing as less disruption as possible.
It's surprising, only 7 clubs have got more than 50% fully vaccinated. I think Wolves are about the only club in England that have got 100% vaccination, Ruffy. I think, Jurgen Klopp's been out and said 99% of his players have been vaccinated. The English League, has released a statement saying 49% of players are fully vaccinated in the English Football League, up from only 18% the previous month. Now, I don't want to get into an argument with people who are posting messages about, we are not, the light, the way and the truth on the safety of the whole thing. And we're not part of a big pro-vaccination campaign. We are merely observing what is happening around the country and the stance that certain clubs are taking, and managers have mentioned as well, Pep Guardiola also, about players taking the vaccination. As Charlie said, if somebody wants to look at it and say, look, it's my democratic right not to take it, then fine and dandy, but there's going to be a lot of obstacles in the way for never mind players, but people in society who don't take it.
And I think it'd be more difficult down in England. The football side, obviously, there's more people down there, and I would hazard a guess there's more nationalities down there who maybe all have different views, different players for different countries at different clubs, and they might have different views in the whole thing as well. So it's a bigger scale, obviously, down in England as it is up here.
Yeah, and you can see the passion of it. Stuart Ramsey says it isn't a personal choice when it's a public health when it's a public health issue. You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, just testing
Yeah.
you. We might need,
You might need a doctor for him.
I was about to say, might need a lateral flow. Every time he coughs, I really do get worried about it. Okay, yeah. The vaccination is one thing. A couple of wee things before we go, Charlie. Of course, Sir Alex has been out speaking about you should play your best players when they're available. This is obviously regarding Ronaldo not starting for Everton. Do you pay when you get to that level and there's fine margins? Does he start all the time for you?
It's amazing how the story got blown up, wasn't it? That it was the crisis thing that he said he should never have said it. He's gave an opinion on what he is. I believe you should play your best players, and you could have took him off after an hour if they were winning 2 or 3-0. But as a manager, you make the decisions. You know, that's why he's the manager of, let's say, one of the biggest clubs in the world. He's trying to protect the player. He's 36 years of age. Yeah, he'll want to play. Ask any player who gets left out. They want to play, no matter how fatigued or what they think. You know, Ronaldo will be the same. Disappointed that he never probably made the impact he did. But I don't see anything to it. I just think that, you know, it's getting blown out of proportion. But yeah, listen, you can see both sides of it, and Ollie makes that decision because he's the manager, and you have to get on with it.
Well, funnily enough, I take another stance on this, Ruffy, and I think you play your best players, especially in a league that is so closely contested. Here is a guy who I think the expectation is for Manchester United to win something. Yeah. And I think, especially when week in, week out, his job is apparently always on the line. I think when you've got players that are at your disposal, and remember, so what, he's 36, you know, play the first quarter, the second quarter of this season, get United in the mix, and suddenly the adrenaline kicks in, and he's the consummate professional.
Yeah, not only that, you're not giving a big advantage to the opposition, but when that team line comes into the opposition's dressing room and his name's not on it, it must give you a bit of a lift.
No, it does.
You know, it must give you a bit of a lift, but Charlie's right, you know, the manager makes a decision. We all find it hard to believe, and let's say we scored. Well, was it just he wanted to rest him?
I wanted to rest him, aye.
No, I'm not having that.
Yeah, but I don't get, if that was Pep, there's nothing said. Because he rests De Bruyne when he wants. Yeah. He rests, you know, Sterling. He'll rest all the big ones.
Yeah, because he's won a title. Because he's won a title.
Matter.
He's reached a Champions League final.
But
United of 2013, the last time they won something.
But let's focus on here and now. You know, the past. Let's focus on here and now. De Bruyne, when he gets rested, you know, and he leaves them out, and they get beat or they draw, it's not a crisis. It's only because Sir Alex Ferguson said it. It's become a crisis for everybody. If Ronaldo never played and they drew, and Sir Alex Ferguson never said, oh, you should always play your best players, I don't think it would have been such a big story. Yeah, people would have grumbled and said Ronaldo should play. But Man City did it, Liverpool did it, Chelsea did it. The rest are big players because they know that there's so many big games coming up. Listen, no disrespect, Man United should be beating Everton at home if they've got Cavani up front or Ronaldo. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a better point. But the point here is, one, I don't think they've got a good enough manager, and I think he needs all guns blazing, Ruffy. That's my take on it with him. I think he needs, if he can't get a team that looks as if it's a team, you know, that, you know, is gelled together, and he's got individuals, which has been the accusation, it's individuals who are winning things for Man United. I think you've got to play one of the most gifted players in the world. And
unfortunately, you might get away with it if you win the game. But if you don't win the game, you're going to have to suffer the consequences.
I said when they haven't won anything from 2013, they haven't won the league, and they're desperate for the league. Yeah. Okay, Nations League tonight. Nations League, you're saying to yourself,
big game.
God. Well, it is big games, but it's absolutely meaningless. It doesn't have any effect on the qualification for the World Cup. It was something they were hoping to play, but it was kiboshed by the delay in the Euros. Tonight it's Italy against Spain at the San Siro. That's the first semi-final. I'm going to explain this to you, Ruffy, because I actually had to read up on it this morning, thinking to myself, where the hell does this fit into the calendar? Belgium and France will meet at the Allianz Stadium in Turin tomorrow. The finals is on Sunday at 7:45. The third place playoff is earlier in the day at 2:00. So I've given you the whole picture. The prize for this, the winner of the Nations League, will win a trophy. 10.5 million euros, which is about 9 million quid, and then you've got 9 million euros for second place, 8 million for third, and 7 million for fourth. There you have it. It's a tournament which might gain a bit of prominence later on if it gets World Cup qualification in time, or European qualification. But for me, I don't know. I think it's been lost in the sea of games.
It's mad because Italy are European champions at the moment as it is. So, like you say, it's a financial gain, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a bad bonus.
Here's how Gabriel Antoniazzi looks at it.
The second ever Nations League finals begin this evening, having been rescheduled from the summer due to Euro 2020 rolling over. Let's have a look at the final four teams. Italy, European champions, and come into the game on the back of a world record 37-match unbeaten run. The last time they lost was in the 28 Nations League group stage. The Azzurri boast a mean defence, a controlling midfield, and the electric Federico Chiesa up top. The team they struggled against most of the Euros was Spain, who they beat in the semi-final on penalties, and that is the side they face at the San Siro this evening. The Spanish surprised many at the Euros with their exciting attacking football, and they'll hope they can build on the summer's display with plenty of youthful promise. They too will try and dominate the ball, although their squad is much changed this autumn. They remain light up top and questionable defensively, but they do have Luis Enrique in charge, who always seems to deliver the spectacular. Wednesday's game promises to be a cracker. On Thursday, world champions France play in Turin, although they feel a million miles away from the team who triumphed in Russia 3 years ago. Kylian Mbappe, Karim Benzema and Antoine Griezmann failed to carry the team at the Euros, as they suffered an early exit at the hands of the Swiss. The midfield and defensive lineup is not as straightforward as it once was, and it's up to the under-pressure Didier Deschamps to pick his team up, having won just one of their last 6 games. They meet Belgium tonight, who are looking to avenge their World Cup semi-final defeat in St. Petersburg, and the French triumphed 1-0 that evening, but the Belgians under Roberto Martinez were much fancied. They were beaten by Italy in the summer, and there's a suggestion that the team's best days may be behind them, having not won a trophy since the 1920 Olympics. However, they still have Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku and Eden Hazard amongst others, and they remain the world's #1 ranked team. The final on Sunday does not represent a traditional major honour, but it would be another trophy to add to each country's collection, and it's the perfect preparation for next year's Qatar World Cup.
Yeah, in a word, will you watch it?
Big players in show.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'd watch it, because there's terrific world-class players.
I'm not sure you'll watch it tonight, Ruffy, because obviously, you know, you've got people who are what you would call your really good friends, and then people that are acquaintances. As Davy Provan used to say to me, you know, in football, Peter, remember there's not too many friends, there's just acquaintances, and Ruffy and I are just acquaintances, because tonight, in a game of doubles, you'd think I would have got the call, but he's picked his other friends. So the really good friends that he likes to hang about with his age group.
It's the standard, is it?
I've been bombed.
Not good enough to get in your team?
Yeah. It's all levels, he said.
Hey, everybody finds their level. It doesn't matter what you play, everybody finds their own level.
Before the end of this year is out, I am going to take him at singles and absolutely.
Well, you have been saying for the last, when he's not here, for the last 3 or 4 weeks since I've been coming in, I'm going to get somebody to come and practice with me, teach me. I'm going to go and get my own balls, my own machine, and I'm just going to rally backhands all the time and practice. Yeah. So I can't wait.
You've got to practice at tennis to actually beat him. He's that good.
What was it? Is it Raducanu? Is it the girl that won the US Open? She's looking for a partner to practice with.
Yeah.
And a coach.
She needs a coach as well, aye.
As well, absolutely. Listen, just one quick one, which is from R Junior, who says, has Charlie played against Dundee United's new signing, Max Biamu? He's been signed in a free.
No, I don't know much about it. I've seen it coming in today that they've signed him, so, you know, somebody different from what they've got in midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go, thanks to everyone for downloading the PLZ Soccer app. The reason I mention that is because, and I really hope I can remember his name, because he posted a brilliant picture for us. I'm going to just check here just to see if I've got the picture from our website, because you can post pictures to us and you can also post messages and video content. And I've got it here. Thanks very much to Roy Spears, who sent us a picture of his day out at Anfield. Charlie, not a bad selection of trophies for him. The Super Cup, the Premier League, the European Cup and the FIFA World Club Cup as well. What a nice picture that is with Roy.
Yeah, it's wasn't lucky enough to play for Liverpool for one season, and you know, not many people get the opportunity, and to walk down these stairs, you know, many moons ago was always a great feeling walking back up the stairs, you know, coming out to see the Kop on the right hand side was amazing. But it's all changed now.
Yeah, well done
that new stand.
It looks great. Well done to Roy for sending us that photograph. Just one of many people have downloaded the PLZ Soccer app. Just got to ask you, when you were going down the stairs, did you tap "This is Anfield"?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah, and Jurgen banned it, didn't he?
Did he?
Oh, did he?
Jurgen banned it to say that, you know, only once you start winning trophies, that's when you could start touching it or something like that. And, you know, eventually now, obviously, they've won leagues and everything, so I think the lads now be able to touch it. I think he touches it.
Oh, I didn't know that, Ruffy. That was a wee
I
bit
think
of...
that's one of the stories anyway.
Yeah,
You're
a superstition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I've touched it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've not won the Premier League.
Did you... when did you play there?
Scotland versus Wales.
Was that the night?
Anfield.
Was that night? No,
1977.
No, Chalk Street?
No,
85.
85.
Yeah, 77 was fantastic because we got a penalty that was dubious, to say the least, against Wales with the Joe Jordan. And I think it was Don Masson that scored it, wasn't it?
He scored the penalty and
Yeah.
Kenny scored the header.
Yeah. Who crossed for Kenny?
Martin Buchan.
Well,
Do you know what'll be amazing as well when that new stand gets built behind the goal?
Yeah.
You know, it'll
61,000.
61,000 will be a wonderful stadium again, and you know, commercially and advertising will be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Roy for that. One of our many viewers and listeners as well. Thank you also to the countless people who also, if they can't watch it, download the podcast as well. It's across all the platforms on the podcast. So thank you to many people who like to listen to the show as well. But if you want to watch it, you can. PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for that. And also over and above that, if you hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content. We've got some really special programs coming up. And before we get to the end of this week, we've got a competition coming up as well. Gives you a chance to win something nice as we get ready for the international weekend. Gabriel will be continually in the Scotland camp, bringing us all the latest news ahead of Scotland against Israel. So that's what we can look forward to. You can give us your thoughts on your favourite team or what you think is going to happen with the international game as well. We'll get Charlie's thoughts on Friday on his prediction for that. As far as tonight is concerned, no Tam McManus at the moment. I think it'll be next week, Ruffy, by the time he gets over his little bug and he is back fit and available for us.
Yep.
By that time, will the ability for Rangers fans to absolutely hammer him on this programme have just waned slightly, or do you think they'll have long memories?
No, I think they'll just let it go and move on.
Yeah, sure, Ruffy, sure.
Yeah,
Thanks to Charlie Adam, thanks to Alan Ruff, and most of all, thanks to you for watching the programme. Good night.